see it. Okay, so if you do miss a webinar, you'll be able to catch the recording so that you can always get the information you need. So that's always a great option for you. Okay, so a little bit about me. My name is Myra Cisse. I was a banker for 20 plus years, working at every major bank in the city. And for the last 6 years of that, I spent it as a business banker. So I helped a lot of my business clients closing millions of dollars worth of SBA loans. And that's kind of how I became a student of SBA and all the different programs and the great things that it has to offer. So when I finished up my MBA program in 2010, I was just feeling a little unfulfilled at the bank. There were certain aspects of my job that I really loved, the part about helping business owners, going out, assisting them with loans, and knowing that the little bit I did, the loan that I made for them or whatever, to help them to make a ripple effect in the world. So, I gave them a loan, they were able to hire a new person who was able to then provide for their family. So that was very rewarding for me. But there wasn't enough of that in the business. A lot of it was the politics and the minutia and all of that. So, I was kind of feeling that not the sense of fulfillment from my job that I wanted. So I started my business, Certification Consultants, after literally, the idea just dropped out of the sky, fell on my head. I was talking to a friend of mine who was working on certifications for his business, and he was just totally overwhelmed and was like, gosh, if I could just pay somebody to do this for me, that would be awesome. And I was like, that's a business? Oh my God, that's awesome. I can do that because I've done it for my bank clients. I've done it for my own business in the past. So, I formed the company in 2011 and then finally took the leap of faith in 2012 to go out, leave banking entirely, and work on my full-time job. And that's a deeper story that I'll be sharing next week at the association meeting. So join us on February 9th and you can hear the details of that. But with my business, Certification Consultants, I help dozens of clients to gain their certifications and helping them move on to get multi-year, multi-million-dollar contracts. And that was very fulfilling and exciting for me. But I knew, those were, I don't want to say they were flukes, but those clients had some of the infrastructure and they knew what they were doing. But I needed to have a systematic approach for those clients who I was helping get certified, but they didn't know how to take the next steps and they didn't know how to move into contracting. So I definitely wanted to find a partner with whom I could work. And last year in 2015, I partnered up with Abe and the folks here at GCA, and now we're doing just that. So I'm really excited about being able to live my dream of helping businesses grow their respective businesses with certifications that can move them forward. So that is my story. So what are certifications? This is just my definition. It's not like a Webster's version or a FAR version of certifications. Certifications are either locally, nationally, or federally recognized qualifications that prove that your business is owned and controlled by a certain recognized class of individual. Now, I say that because a lot of people I run into, I run into a woman or a veteran and they say that, yes, well, I'm a woman-owned business or I'm a veteran-owned business, but if they're not certified as such, then they're not really, they can't categorize themselves as a woman-owned small business, veteran-owned small business, what have you. There are certifications that are available for women, veterans, minorities, disabled veterans, individuals with disabilities, and lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender individuals. Now, if you fall into any of the aforementioned categories and you own more than 51% of your business, you may qualify for some of these certifications. Now, I say may because depending on the certification, there may be some other qualifications that you or the business has to meet in order to get that certification. So why are you going to get certified? So there are a number of reasons for you to get certified, and I always advise my clients that if they're going to go through the process, they should if they fall into one of the following categories. If they have a client if you have a client that's asking you, are you certified? Are you a woman-owned small business? Are you a veteran-owned business? Or if they request that you become certified because they know you and they know, hey, you're a minority, so you can get the certification. then do it. You know, that means they've got business they'd like to give to you, and they can do more of that if you have that certification. If you've identified opportunities that require certifications, then by all means you want to go ahead and go out and get those certifications that can help you qualify for those opportunities. Keep in mind this is going to take planning though, so you can't see an opportunity on State of Georgia's website today that requires a DOT certification and start that certification tomorrow thinking you're going to get it in 3 weeks by the time the solicitation is due. That's not going to happen. Keep in mind that the fastest certification is probably going to take 90 days, closer to 120, and the other ones, like several of the SBA certifications, can take 6 months or longer. So you do need to do your planning ahead of time. If you want to compete for set-aside opportunities, of course you have to be certified to do that. You know, if you're competing on an opportunity that's set aside for an 8A firm or a HUBZONE company, then you've got to have that certification in order to compete for that particular opportunity. And then if you want the opportunity to win sole source contracts, which is what we all want, the ability to win those individual awards where you're not competing with anyone. So those are some of the reasons to get certified. Now, before we dive deeper into each of the certifications, I want to bust a couple of certification myths. And there's a little bomb that's about to go off and bust them all to pieces. A lot of people think that certifications are entitlement programs. So that nothing can be further from the truth. Certifications will provide your business with opportunities, but not with any guarantees. This certification is no more than a piece of paper, and there's not going to be any benefit just to you having that paper or to being certified. You, just like a degree, you have to go out and interview and press people and have some work experience and all of that. The same holds true with these certifications. You've got to go out and, you know, build relationships with contracting officers and have past performance, go out and get some past performance so that you can be attractive to the people with whom you're trying to do business. Another myth is that a lot of folks, I don't know what word I'm trying to look for. They use certifications as the primary selling point, and that's just a big mistake. And if you do that in front of a contracting officer, if they don't do it in front of you, when you leave, they'll be rolling their eyes behind your back, because that's not the primary selling point. You don't want to go into you know, whether you're meeting a contracting officer at a networking event or, you know, procurement professional, whatever, or going into their office for a meeting saying that, you know, I'm sure you've got money for me because I'm a woman-owned small business, or I'm a, you know, minority business, I'm a veteran-owned business. No, they don't have anything for you because of that. They, and Abe talked about this last night at the training that some of you attended, these contracting officers are risk averse. Your primary selling points are going to be your past performance, your stellar work history, having delivered projects on time and on budget, having done the exact project for a different agency and completing it successfully. Those are your selling points. The fact that you're certified is not a selling point. That's to be a cherry on top. That's just kind of the icing on the cake. Think about it this way. If what a certification is going to do is tip the scale. If they're looking at two companies, your company being one of them, comparing you against another company, if all things are equal and your company is certified, that's going to tip the balance of the scales in your favor. So that's what certifications do, but they're not your primary selling feature. And also, this is another myth that I don't want to say I fight with the people here, but even here at the office, I have to tell folks that just because you can get a certification doesn't mean you should. The myth is that the more certifications you have, the better. Let's say you're a trifecta, where you're a woman, a minority, and a service-disabled veteran, or a quadrifecta. Is that a word? Anyway, where you have, instead of 3, you have all 4. So your business is located in a hub zone and you got the employee requirement to meet that. So just because you can get a woman-owned small business and a minority business enterprise, or an 8A and a hub zone and a service-disabled vet certification doesn't necessarily mean you should. You want to tailor your certifications to meet the needs of your clients. So, you know, just having the piece of paper isn't going to give you any value or benefit. It's going to be how that piece of paper can be leveraged. And then two, if you're just getting started in business, then you want to start by getting the certification that's going to provide you with the biggest impact. And you may want to write this one down. The certification that's going to provide you with the biggest impact with the least amount of effort in the least amount of time for the lowest cost possible. Okay? So you want to get that certification that's going to provide the biggest impact with the least amount of effort, the least amount of time, with the lowest cost. And you want to do that one first. Yes, there may be a reason for you to have every certification that you can get, but work through that process strategically. Don't just go out and scattergun approach it and get every certification known to man simply because you qualify for them, or known to woman because, you know, women qualify for more than men do. Anyway. And also keep in mind there's no one-size-fits-all certification. So you've got to look at your business, look at who you're serving as clients, and then do the certification that's going to be right for you. Okay? So that leads us to the next question. Which certifications are right for me? Well, and I hate doing this. I hate answering a question with a question, but we got to do that. So who's your client? You know, are you selling to corporate clients like Coca-Cola and UPS? Are you selling to government clients? Are those government clients federal government, or is it state and local government? And the reason why this is important is because every certification is going to speak to a different type of client. So if you know who your ideal client is, then you can spend your time and money getting the certifications that speak directly to those clients. Okay, and some are going to be hybrids, okay? So we'll discuss that on the next slide. So here are the different certification types. Okay, so if you're dealing with corporate clients like Coca-Cola and UPS and IBM, and I put those here specifically, and I didn't use things like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But if you're dealing with corporate clients, then they have traditional supplier diversity programs in place. So what they're going to want to see are your minority or women business enterprise certifications. They're going to want to see your veteran-owned small business certification. They're not so concerned whether or not you're a service-disabled vet, just the fact that you served. They're going to want to see your, depending on how progressive the company is, your LGBT BE certifications. Okay, so those are certifications that are going to speak directly to the supplier diversity programs at most of the Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies. If your clients are government clients, like the Department of Defense, where you're doing business with the Army, or you're doing business with the Department of Justice and the prison systems, or the CDC, then 8A, all the SBA certifications and the veteran certifications are going to be the ones that they want to see. So the 8A Business Development Program, your HUBZONE, the SDVOSB, Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business, your Woman-Owned and Economically Disadvantaged Woman-Owned Small Business certs, and in some cases, the DOT certification, you know, especially if you're dealing with the Department of Transportation. Now, there's a caveat here. If your clients are large government contractors, like Lockheed Martin or Northrop Grumman, or those people that are consistently where, you know, 80% or more of their business is all government business, those companies and the supplier diversity folks at those companies understand 8A and HUBZone, and they understand that lingo because the primary amount of their business comes from that world of government. But if you're talking to a supplier diversity professional like Coca-Cola and letting them know that you're 8A certified, that person may never have heard of that certification before. So you want to make sure that you're getting the right certification so you're speaking the right language to your audience, okay? And then finally, with municipal clients, whether it's a local, state, or what have you, you know, depending on the county, in different parts of the country have different certifications, but usually there's something for everyone out there. You have your local small business enterprise certifications, or your respective city or county disadvantage program, and whatever they may call it. FBE for female business enterprise, SBE for small business enterprise, LBE for local business enterprise. There's just a ton of them, and it's a whole alphabet soup. But hopefully that clarifies that a little bit. So that's why the previous question was so important as far as who is your client. because if your client is going to be primarily, you're going to be going after the CDC, that's who you want to do business with, then you're going to need to get a certification that speaks to that federal client. And then if you qualify for more than one, get the one again, like I said, that you can get and that's going to provide the biggest impact in the least amount of time, least amount of effort, for the lowest cost. Okay? And like I said, we will save time for questions at the end. So if you do have those questions, make sure you write them down, and we can go from there. Okay, so selling to corporate clients. The Fortune 500 companies, most of them will have their own supplier diversity programs in place. And these corporate clients are motivated differently than government clients. They have the supplier diversity programs in place because it offers them tax advantages most of the time based on where they're located. And you know, you'll find companies, that's why lobbyists and politicians are so adamant about tax credits and all that kind of stuff that they do, because they want to drive large business to their particular state or district or what have you. And so there are a lot of tax advantages involved with them bringing jobs to the community. Also, it's good press, it's good PR if they market it properly, that they are, all the banks several years ago were doing a big promo about hiring veterans and bringing veterans on, and so much of their workforce were veterans that are coming back to civilian life. So that's good PR when a Fortune 500 company markets that properly. There's some compliance involved, especially for the large government contractors like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. If they have a subcontracting requirement because they've received federal dollars, then you know, they may need to have a certain percentage of their supply chain to women or minorities just to meet those requirements. And then, of course, it's just the right thing to do. And again, depending on the company, sometimes they are in it because it's the right thing to do. Others, they're motivated by what the right thing to do does for them from a PR perspective. But, you know, if it works out in our benefit, then it doesn't really matter the underlying reason for doing it. Okay, so selling to government clients. Now, this is no easy task, but it can be done, as, you know, Abe has come up with a blueprint, a plan to help you tackle it. But although the U.S. government is the largest purchaser of goods and services in the world, it's not necessarily easy for you to narrow down what it is you offer into where it fits in that behemoth of and it's not even an agency, that behemoth of that world, the government contracting space. You know, if you find one or two departments where you think your services will best fit, then you can narrow it down some more. Now, there are 15 executive departments of the federal government, and those departments are massive, and they have hundreds, you know, dozens, sometimes hundreds of agencies within those departments. And here's, oopsie, I don't know how to go back. There we go. Okay, so government clients, this is just a listing of the 15 executive departments of the federal government. So Department of Agriculture, Commerce, Defense, Justice, and all that. So under each of these departments. So like CDC is not listed here because CDC falls under a subcategory of number 6, the Department of Health and Human Services. You don't see the Army, Navy, the Coast Guard, the Army Corps of Engineers. Why? Because it falls under number 3, under the Department of Defense. So, you know, this is kind of the top of the funnel where you figure out, okay, if I do IT or if I do, you know, landscaping or whatever, you know, where will my services fit? And maybe it fits into all of them, but find the one where you can start, because you can't, you know, like an elephant, you've got to eat it one bite at a time. You can't possibly come up with a strategy to go after 10 of these 15. Start with the one, and believe you me, you can eat very, very good if you identify the one. Let me give you a great example of this. One of my clients is in Maryland. I'm helping him out with his 8A, and we're working through that process now, going through the deficiencies, and they're concerned that all of his eggs are basically in one basket. They're saying that, you know, all of his business is tied to this one prime contractor. But the one prime contractor is, he's working as a sub to this prime for the Navy, which is a part of the Department of Defense. But basically, he's got 3 different departments within the Navy. So though all of his work is through this prime contractor that does business with the Navy, it's with 3 different departments within the Navy, each of whom have their own distinct procurement process, their own distinct budgets, 3 different contracting officers, so that you can have a lot of diversification even once you narrow it down to one sub-agency of a larger department. Okay. And selling to municipal clients, this is probably a really good way to start. And the reason is because these opportunities are local. They may be right in your neighborhood, right under your nose. And it might be easier because the decision makers may be people that you already network with. They may already be familiar with your services. I just got an email yesterday for, I think it's DeKalb County. They're having some kind of roundtable discussion with the Department of Watershed, and they're having like an intimate get-together talking about upcoming opportunities. So, you know, I was just sent an email by the head of that area to join them because I'm certified with DeKalb County. So things like that will come across your desk. So it may be an easier entree into the government contracting world by starting local, you know, in your own backyard, or, you know, like in Atlanta, in the 26 county backyard that's part of Metro Atlanta, right? And also local bid meetings, that will allow you to meet the primes that are working on those larger municipal projects, where you can network with them, find out what their needs are specifically, get on their lists about, you know, when they let different opportunities relating to those larger projects, and also the supplier diversity folks that are at the county and city and local level. Okay, and some of you that have been to our Tuesday night trainings are probably familiar with this slide, but I wanted to go through it to talk about how the whole procurement process works. You know, there's the $450 billion that's been awarded in government contracts, and it's divvied up into open competition or to set-asides. So open competition allows you to compete against everyone, Lockheed Martin, all the other giants, Coke, UPS, IBM, all of those. Now, if those companies win an opportunity and they're awarded the opportunity, then generally they have a subcontracting goal of 35% or more that has to come to you as a small business. So that's where your MBEs and WBEs and veteran and your LGBTBE certifications will come into play, because you're dealing with your IBM and they're having to subcontract to you as a small business. So they want to see that you have that cert. But when you're talking over this side with the set-asides, are y'all able to see my mouse? Can you raise your hand if you can? Okay, good, thank you. So the set-asides here, this is where we're playing with the actual specific certifications. That means you've got to be certified for with government certifications, either via SBA or SDVOSB, in order to get these set-aside opportunities. And that's where it gets really exciting. You can start competing for some real money. Okay? So your certified business advantage is that you're able to compete on set-aside contracts that are competed only against other small businesses that look and feel like you, that are within your specific certification, and then of course most importantly the sole source contracts, where you get a direct award to one company, you don't have any competition, there's no lengthy procurement process, and you're just negotiating price. Did y'all ever see Pirates of the Caribbean? I digress, I know, but anyway. So we agree on principle, we're just negotiating price. So anyway, I'm a big fan. And all of you who know me know that I'm a nerd too, so that's okay. Okay, so let's talk in detail about all these different alphabet soups of certification. So the 8A Business Development Program, this is the big one. I shouldn't have done this differently, sorry. I will change it next time. because I always tell people, you know, when they learn about this certification, if they qualify, they get really excited. They're like, okay, that's the one I want. But I tell people all the time, 8A is not the certification you start with. 8A is the certification that you finish with. Okay, so though I'm going over it first, it is not the place to start. And the reason is because there are a couple of fundamental truths about the program that limit your time in it. But let's talk about what the qualifications are. In order to qualify for this certification, you're going to have to be small, according to the SBA guidelines. You're going to be you have to be socially disadvantaged, and that's SBA's politically correct term for saying that you've got to be basically an ethnic minority. They've got a listing on their website of specific ethnic categories that qualify. So it's Black Americans, Asian Americans, I cannot even go for it. Hispanic Americans, I'm just totally blanking out. Native Americans, Pacific Islanders, and where is the other? Alaskan Natives. That's the other one. I was like, there's another A in there, and I couldn't remember what it was. So if you fall into one of those socially disadvantaged categories, then you're going to qualify and meet that participation. Now, there are women who are non-minorities that are in the 8A Business Development Program, and I helped a woman-owned firm that was owned by a Caucasian woman just a few months ago. She got into the program, and it's because her business is in industrial construction, and there's so few women in that field, and she has very specific examples of opportunities that she missed simply because she was female. I mean, and she was able to, in her social disadvantage narrative, which is required if you're trying to get into this program and you are not presumed disadvantaged by your race and or ethnicity, show examples of all through college where the programs, because she was the only woman that was studying what she was studying, all of the trips were male-oriented trips. They had nothing available for her to attend. A lot of the networking that she had to do, the trips were, because it was a male-dominated industry, the only classes that you know, she as a woman could participate in. She was sitting with the secretaries and the bookkeepers and the other women that were a part of the ancillary team of the industrial construction industry. So that said, you can prove your social disadvantage with what SBA calls a preponderance of evidence through a narrative. And that's just basically getting out the wine and cheese and talking about all the times when you weren't able to get what it is that you feel is your fair share because of your particular gender, disability, whatever the situation is. And you also have to be economically disadvantaged. And economic disadvantage relates to your income, to your net worth, and to your total assets. These criteria are kind of, I don't want to say lenient, they are very conservative. I think I might be using the wrong word. Anyway, they're low. So your income can't be any more than $250,000 a year. Your net worth can't be anything more than $250,000 total. So that means if you own $1 million home, that won't necessarily count against you because not your primary residence. But if you have a rental property that on the beach somewhere that's worth $300,000 and you own it free and clear, then you may not qualify for economic disadvantage. And your total assets can't be any more than $4 million. But this one is the most, the least restrictive of the program. So if you qualify for economic disadvantage based on 8A, you're going to qualify for all the other ones that have an economic disadvantage caveat. For this SBA certification and pretty much all of the SBA certifications, you will also have to be a U.S. citizen. Your business has to be generating revenue, so that means you can't be a company where, oh, I've had this business 20 years sitting on a shelf. Yeah, that means nothing. That just means that you've had it registered and you've paid the fees, but you're not really in business. So you do have to be a business in business and have to be generating revenue for 2 years or more and demonstrate the potential for success. And there are a lot of additional categories in this, so we'll, you know, if this is something that you think you want to do, we can talk further about how we can qualify you into this program. The main reason why this is the one you end with, not the one you start with, is because this is a limited time offer, once in a lifetime opportunity. The 8-day program allows you to use your status to qualify a firm into the program only once in your lifetime, and the program is only 9 years. So if you don't know how to win contracts and you get in the program today because you're gung-ho and excited and you're like, I'm going to do it anyway, and you spend 3 years getting your first contract, you've burned 3 years of a program that you can never get back and that you can only use once. So be very strategic about how you do these things. Okay, HUBZONE. This is another really great certification where there are a lot of opportunities for HUBZONE programs, but it's rather difficult to qualify for unless you're in certain parts of the country where HUBZONEs are prevalent. And here in Georgia, that is not us, not here in the metro Atlanta area anyway. There are some rural parts of Georgia where it would be a lot easier to qualify. Again, the business has to be small according to SBA size standards. Your primary location, where the majority of your workforce is located, has to be in a HUBZONE. 35% of your workforce must live in a HUBZONE, and it's got to be owned and controlled by a U.S. citizen, community development center, or an Indian tribe. So, this program is available for CDCs as well that are more community nonprofit type businesses. Okay. Veteran and service disabled veteran-owned small business. Again, you've got to be small according to SBA size standards. Are you seeing it, the red here? All of these certifications are for small businesses. The 51% or more owner must be a veteran or one or more veterans. The veteran must hold the highest title, and the veteran must earn the largest salary. In addition, the service disabled veteran must have a 1% or greater connected disability as related to their service. And the great thing about this program is the benefits also extend to surviving spouses. So I was reading up on that recently because of a client I'm helping right now with a veteran-owned certification where, the nature of his disability is meaning that he can't be in the business full-time, but he does still own and makes management decisions about the business. So, that can still qualify because the wife is the one that's taking the physical part of the work that he's not able to do. Okay. Economically disadvantaged and woman-owned small business. So to qualify for this certification, then you're going to have to be small according to the SBA size standards. 51% or more owned and controlled by one or more women. The woman must hold the highest title, and she's got to be in one of 45 NAICS codes where women-owned small businesses are underrepresented, or 38 NAICS codes where women-owned small businesses are substantially underrepresented. Okay, and for the economic disadvantage portion, you again have to meet economic disadvantage criteria as related to income, net worth, and total assets. Okay. Your minority business enterprise and women business enterprise certifications. I'm hearing noises. Okay. For this, you've got to be a U.S. citizen on each of these, either a woman or a minority, depending on which one you do. And keep in mind, I've got these both on one slide, but these are two distinct certifications. So you don't have to be both. You can be either or and qualify for either or. If you're a minority woman, you could qualify for both, but again, you need to have that decision whether both of them are, if it makes sense to do both. And then, of course, 51% or more owned and controlled by the disadvantaged individual, whether that's a woman or a minority. And there are also additional qualifications for each of the national certifying bodies that you're going to have to meet, because these certifications are issued through the Minority Business Enterprise is done through the National Minority Supplier Development Council, and they've got 37 regional offices across the U.S., and the Women Business Enterprise certification is done through one of four. The SBA has 4 approved bodies for that certification. We think Women Business Enterprise National Council is the largest and the most recognized amongst Fortune 500 companies, but also National Women's Business Owners Corporation, the El Paso Chamber of Commerce, and who is the fourth one? I can't remember the fourth right now, but there is one. It's on SBA's website. If you need that, I will find that information. Oh, the U.S. Women's Chamber of Commerce. There it is. Okay. So the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender business enterprise certification. To qualify, you must be small according to the SBA size standards, 51% or more owned and controlled by one or more lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender individuals. That individual must hold the highest title, and they're going to meet the qualifications of the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, which is the national certifying body for this particular certification. Okay, and then of course you've got your DOT programs. Across the state, across the country, each of the departments of transportation in each of the states have a recognized disadvantaged business enterprise program. The good thing about the program, because it's all through the DOT, it's a uniform commercial application. So whether you're in Georgia or in Texas or in some other state, the application process is the same and the qualifications are all standardized. However, that doesn't mean if you are a company located in Georgia and you're trying to do business in Texas, they may not have a reciprocal relationship by accepting your DBE certification from Georgia. So it may be that you need to get your company DBE certified in Texas. The good news is because the programs are relatively standardized, oftentimes you're not having to go through the whole application process. They're just looking at your qualification, pulling the certification, you fill out a one-page form, and then they contact the state where you're housed to confirm that everything is current, and then they offer you a reciprocal certification in the other state. Again, do not run out and get DBE certified in all 50 states. That is the biggest waste of time. Go out and get some work history and then get your certifications later. So but anyway, to qualify for this, you've got to be a U.S. citizen or a resident. This is the only certification that allows you, to be a resident alien and not necessarily a U.S. citizen, which is odd because it's federal, but, I didn't make the rules. You've got to be socially disadvantaged. The DBE program is one of the few that automatically includes women as a socially disadvantaged category, so there's no need to prove your disadvantage if you're a woman and you're not minority. You've got to be economically disadvantaged. The criteria here is much less restrictive than the 8A program, and this number has changed actually. That personal net worth, I forgot to update the slide. It's 1,250,000. So you can have real assets and still be disadvantaged according to this. You do still have to be small according to size standards, only for-profit businesses, so not for any business that's not for profit. Then you've got to be an independent business where you are not affiliated with any other business concerns. Okay? So now I've gone over all of these certifications. You are probably like, oh my God, what do I do next? I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. But your next steps are to first identify who your target client is. Because like I said, it doesn't make any sense to go out and do every certification known to man. Figure out where you're going to try to, who you're going to try to target first, who you're going to hit first, whether those are municipal clients or if it's the CDC or maybe a contracting officer over at the prison systems, and what you do some security or security cameras or something of that nature, so you want to target there. Figure out who that target client is. And then let's create a certification plan based on who that client is, whether it's a federal client, municipal client, etc. And then attend our upcoming events, and we'll be talking about those on the next slide. Also become a member of GCA. That just makes sense. So you can take advantage of our network. We have linked quite a few of our members together to work on projects and to earn and to win contracts. And then, of course, a lot of the free training that we have to offer, you'll be able to do that. And then invest in your business by attending our upcoming boot camp or incubators that are designed to position your business to win contracts. So just a quick list of some of our upcoming events. Next week on Tuesday, we have our association meeting. It is totally free for members of the association, and non-members just pay $10 to attend. And it's always very informative. The topic will be registrations and certifications, so we will be going a lot deeper into the actual process of registering to do business with the government, in addition to some of what we've touched on today. Webinars, we've got upcoming webinars for the remainder of the month. Next week is going to be SAM, GLS, and DSBS. That's all about the getting registered portion. On the 17th, Richard's going to be doing the webinar talking about mobilization funding, and it's called You Win It, We Fund It. And on the 24th, Renzi's going to be talking about proposal writing fundamentals and writing to win. Our government contracting boot camp, y'all, I really want you to seriously consider this if you've not already budgeted for it or put it on your calendar. If you have decided that 2016 is the year that you want to win contracts, then this 2-day boot camp is a great way, and for the cost, a relatively inexpensive way to learn what you need in a crash course kind of setting, and be positioned to go out and win some contracts and make that happen literally this year for you. It's going to be 2 full days, it's Saturday and a Sunday, because we know a lot of our business owners, are busy during the week. And sorry about that Dropbox notification, folks. And for our members, it's only $599. For non-members, it's a couple $100 more, but become a member and save yourself that money. But that's going to be a great, it's going to be a great, great event for you. The boot camp time is going to be all day, from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock on day 1, or 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock maybe on day 1, and 9 to 4 on day 2. But yes, it will be an all day event. So we will of course feed you. so for the cost, you're gonna get sustenance and information, and it's probably going to be information overload, but you will have everything you need to position yourself to win. And I just have a few more minutes before we open it up for questions. So these are a couple of additional resources, and I wish there was a way for me to turn off that Dropbox notification, but I'm sorry for that. AID has created an amazing ebook that I just can't believe the amount of information in here. It's 12 Steps to Winning Government Contracts. That cost, the retail cost on that is only $19.95, so you can certainly get started with that resource. I also have an ebook, The Certified Business Advantage, that gives you a lot more of what I gave you today in that ebook, and that retails for $9.95. So those are 2 options for you. Of course, Abe has his Gov Fast Track software, which I think a few of you on the call have invested in this. This is the blueprint that you need to winning government contracts step by step. The great thing about the software, it assumes you know nothing. It takes you from literally the concept of a business to all the way to winning a contract. So, if you are already an established business owner, there are a lot of the fundamental things that you may not need, but a lot of established business owners come in there and be like, oh, wow, I've been built on Band-Aids and toothpicks. So this helps them to shore up their foundation so that when they do win government contracts, their whole business doesn't implode on itself. That usually retails for $19.95. On the webinar today, if you choose to make the purchase, you can get it for $9.99, and you're also going to get both of the ebooks for free. And now we are going to open this whole puppy up for questions. So I've got to figure out how to unmute attendees. I think I've got to unmute everybody individually. Oh wait. Okay. So I have the floor open for any potential questions. So what questions does anyone have? You can either raise your hand, you can type it in. I think there's a chat feature somewhere. Yeah, you can type it in, or, oh, I see a raised hand. That's exciting. Charlie, what can I do you for? Hello? Mr. Charlie Birchwood. If you're talking, I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad, Myra. I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
On the DOT Advantage Business Enterprise Program,
Uh-huh.
what's the duration of that?
What is the one on that?
How long does it take the duration?
I think you said how long is the certification?
Yeah.
Yes, that one, I mean, you can have that one forever. Now, I can't remember if it's every year or every 2 years. I'm sure it's every year. You have to do a one-page certification of no change. But yeah, but you can keep that one for as long as you are in business.
No, but how long does it take to get it?
Oh,
That's what I meant. Sorry.
oh, sorry. No, that one, the state of Georgia is extremely backlogged, and that certification is probably going to take about 120 days to 150 days.
120 days.
Yeah. So about 4 months from the time you start to finish. They're just slow, unfortunately.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
but
a whole lot.
it's always going to be 120 to 150 days. So if you wait 30 days from now, that time's not going to shrink. So I mean, I hear a lot of people that talk about, oh my gosh, it's so long, and then they never get started. But the time's not ever going to change. So yeah, you just need to get started on the paperwork and submit it, and then it could very well be quicker than that. But I always tell people what the longest time possible is.
Okay. I have a second question for you on the 8A program
Yes, sir.
that you speak very well about and everything like that.
Uh-huh.
Um, I saw all the criteria. And in terms of certification, once you have all the criteria, what's the process and how long does it take for the SBA for them to certify you, or is it just based on an individual? Each individual has a criteria. Do you have an average?
No, as far as the average time it takes to get that certification.
Mhm.
Okay, so average, I like to say, is about 6 months. That's if the business owner is diligent about paperwork, and that's with me helping them. I can't tell you what the average is in general. I can only tell you based on clients I've assisted. My fastest time getting that certification has been 5.5 months for somebody, but generally I like to say 6 months. A lot of my clients take 10 or 12
Okay.
months to do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're having some pretty decent weather right now. It's a little cloudy,
Okay, Richard,
rain,
Richard,
overcast.
Richard.
You
Okay, sorry, we
Yeah.
had somebody that wasn't.
So you cannot be able to bid in SAM, or bid on any of those contracts until you get your ADA certification, or can I bid and get just open like that and then find someone who has an ADA certification?
Absolutely, yeah, that's the smart way to do it, because you definitely, like I said, you want that to be your last certification, and you want to make sure that you are positioned to um, that you already know how to do business with the government before you get it. So by all means, partner with an 8A firm doing some work, ideally under an 8A contract, but if not, just doing something so that you've got that past performance and can start building a history of what it is you're doing.
Like prior to being certified for the ATA program. So that should be doing in the meantime. Just trying to get in contact with other companies that have like federal contracts.
Hmm. Right.
And that's, I think that'll probably help accelerate it.
And I didn't hear the last part of that.
So I said, do you think by doing that, it will probably help to accelerate getting the
Absolutely,
certifications?
it does. Every one of the applications that has taken very little time, those clients had already been working on federal contracts, so the SBA didn't have to question whether or not that company had the potential for success because they were already demonstrating that success with the contracts that they were working. So yeah, it does help to for the person making that decision to overcome one of their concerns, whether or not your business has the potential to succeed in the program. So yeah. Now, are there any other questions? Jacques? Philemon? Anyone? And I see, and am I pronouncing your name right? Philemon Maliro? Hello? If you're talking, we can't hear you, so can you unmute your speaker on that end? Hello? Phil?
Are we going to get a recording of this session?
Okay, I can hear you now.
This is Jacques. I just spoke for the first time.
Okay, sorry.
We're going to get a recording of this?
Yes, I am recording it. I will be figuring out how to get that recording to everyone. I believe, and I can't find it on my dashboard here. I'm pretty sure there's a way that the recording is made available within GoToMeeting. So once we see that the recording is live, then I'll be sending out an email to all of you as participants, letting you know that the recording is available.
Okay.
Sweet. Okay. Anything else? We've got 6 minutes. I told you I was going to get you out on time. Do we have any other questions? I take that as a no. Okay. So guys, if you need to register for any of the events that we talked about, then you can definitely go to, let me close this out so you can see it on the screen. Oh, this is the contact us stuff. I don't know why I didn't put it on there. That was not smart of me. But go to govevent.com. That's govevent.com. And all of the events that we listed on the upcoming event section are going to be on there. And you can get registered for the boot camp or for any of the other programs that we've got going on. Okay. So that is that. Here is my contact information if y'all need to reach me for anything. And with that said, we are finished. Thank you so much for joining me. Y'all have a good evening. Good day. Bye-bye.